Welcome to the Deep Dive,
Oh, yeah.
where today
Uh-huh.
we're taking you on a mission
Okay.
into the heart of Nanolith,
Oh, good.
a board game with a reputation for depth and cyberpunk style.
Yeah.
We've got the official rulebook PDF as our guide.
Okay.
So buckle up, because this deep dive is your crash course on everything you need to know
Right.
before stepping into the neon-drenched streets of Neo-Eden.
It's not your typical walk in the park.
Okay.
Nanolith is a cooperative board game
Uh-huh.
where you and your fellow players become elite operatives battling corrupted corporations.
Oh, wow.
And rogue AIs in a world where stress management is just as important as tactical combat.
Okay, so stress management.
Yeah.
In a board game,
Right.
that's a new one for me.
Right.
But before we get into that,
Sure.
let's set the stage.
Okay.
What's the overall goal in Nanolith?
Imagine a cyberpunk world on the brink.
Okay.
In Nanolith, your team is tasked with navigating complex encounters, strategically utilizing your character's unique skills and items to overcome challenges, and ultimately unravel a conspiracy that threatens to consume Neo-Eden.
So it's not just about
Yeah.
beating up bad guys.
Not just that.
There's an actual story driving the action.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Before we dive into the narrative depths of the campaign mode, we need to understand the nuts and bolts of gameplay.
Right, the tactical foundation.
Uh-huh.
Each game is broken down into encounters.
Yeah.
And within those encounters,
Right.
we have turns where our characters can move,
Yep.
attack,
Yeah.
activate skills,
Uh-huh.
interact with objects.
Yeah.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is, and that's where the concept of action economy comes in.
Okay.
Each action your character takes, from moving across the board to unleashing a powerful attack,
Right.
requires spending action dice.
Oh,
These dice are your currency,
interesting.
and managing them wisely is crucial for success.
So no spamming our coolest moves every turn.
Not if you want to succeed.
Okay.
Nanolith forces you to make tough choices,
Uh-huh.
to prioritize your actions based on the situation and the resources you have available.
Okay, so we need to be strategic with our actions.
Right.
But what about the stress mechanic?
Uh-huh.
How does that fit into all of this?
Stress is a constant companion in Nanolith,
Okay.
and it's tied to those all-important action dice.
Okay.
Every time you roll a 1 on an action die,
Uh-huh.
your character gains stress.
Okay.
And certain actions, like pushing your character beyond their limits or manipulating the dice rolls, can also generate stress.
So pushing for that clutch move
Yeah.
could backfire and stress out our character.
Exactly.
Okay.
And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
As your character accumulates stress,
Uh-huh.
it builds toward triggering a nanoshock.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it as a super move.
Okay.
A powerful ability that can turn the tide of battle.
Super moves. Okay, now you've got my attention.
All right.
But you mentioned there's a catch.
Yeah.
What's the downside to unleashing these nanoshocks?
Nanoshocks are a double-edged sword.
Oh.
While they can be incredibly powerful,
Right.
they also inflict damage on your own character.
Hmm.
It's a risk-reward mechanic
Okay.
that adds a layer of tension to every decision.
I see.
Do you play it safe and conserve your strength?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you unleash the nanoshock and risk the consequences?
That's a tough call.
Right.
So it's not just about crunching numbers and strategizing attacks.
Uh-huh.
We also need to manage this stress level and decide when to pull our luck.
Precisely.
And the game cleverly reflects this internal struggle through the stress index.
That's right.
The stress index.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's a visual representation of your character's stress level.
Okay.
With 2 key components,
Uh-huh.
the stress cube,
Uh-huh.
which tracks your current stress,
Okay.
and the nanoshock cube,
Uh-huh.
which marks the threshold for triggering a nanoshock.
Okay.
As your character gains stress, these cubes move closer together,
Right.
and if they collide, well, let's just say it's not pretty.
So we're literally watching our characters inch closer to a meltdown.
In a way, yes.
Interesting.
And what's even more interesting is that as the encounter progresses,
Uh-huh.
the nanoshock cube actually moves closer to your stress cube,
Oh.
making those nanoshocks more accessible but also more dangerous.
So the longer the fight goes on,
Right.
the more likely we are to unleash those super moves. But
Yeah.
the higher the risk becomes.
Exactly.
Right.
It's a dynamic system that
Alright.
keeps the tension high and forces you to adapt your strategy on the fly.
Okay, deep divers. I think we've got a good grasp on the core concepts here. We've got action dice that fuel our moves and generate stress.
Right.
A stress index that visually tracks our character's mental state.
Uh-huh.
And those tempting but dangerous nanoshock abilities waiting to be unleashed.
Yeah.
But let's break down the actual flow of the game a bit more. What does a typical character turn look like in Nanolith?
Each character turn is divided into two main phases.
Okay.
The status phase
Uh-huh.
and the character action phase.
Okay, so the status phase is like checking in with our character, seeing how they're holding up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You resolve any lingering status effects like poison or bleeding.
Oh.
Manage your stress level.
Yeah.
And most importantly, roll those crucial action dice
Okay.
that will determine what you can do on your turn.
And the character action phase is where we get to unleash our tactical genius.
Precisely.
Right.
This is where you choose how to spend those action dice,
Mm-hmm.
balancing movement,
Okay.
attack skill activations,
Okay.
and interactions with the environment.
Okay, let's break those actions down one by one.
Sure.
First up, movement.
Okay.
Is it just a matter of scooting our character across the board?
Not quite.
Okay.
Nanolith is all about tactical positioning.
Mm-hmm.
And that means considering not just the distance you need to cover,
Right.
but also the obstacles in your way,
Mhm.
the cost of moving through different types of terrain,
Okay.
and most importantly, the position of your enemies.
So we need to think like a chess player, planning our moves carefully to avoid bottlenecks, flank our opponents, or maybe even set up a strategic ambush.
Precisely.
Okay.
And don't forget, every space you move costs action dice.
Right.
So you need to be mindful of your resources.
Okay, so movement is more complex than it seems.
It is a bit.
What about attacks?
Sure.
How do those work in Nanolith?
Attacks are all about range,
Uh-huh.
a line of sight,
Mm-hmm.
and of course those action dice.
Okay.
You need to make sure your target is within range of your weapon,
Uh-huh.
that you have a clear line of sight,
Okay.
and then you spend the required dice to roll for your attack.
And I'm guessing there are different types of attacks, right?
Absolutely.
Not just shooting stuff?
You've got close combat attacks for those who like to get up close and personal,
Mm-hmm.
ranged attacks for those who prefer to keep their distance,
Uh-huh.
and even special hacking attacks that can disable enemy systems or disrupt their plans.
Ooh, hacking attacks sound interesting.
They are.
But before we dive into that,
Okay,
let's talk about defense.
sure.
How do we protect our characters from all this incoming damage?
Characters and enemies have armor values that represent their resistance to different types of attacks.
Uh-huh.
So a character might be tough as nails against bullets,
Right.
but vulnerable to hacking or energy weapons.
Okay, so we need to be aware of our opponent's weaknesses and exploit them with the right type of attack.
Precisely.
And that's where those special hacking attacks can come into play.
Uh-huh.
Hacking can be used to bypass an enemy's physical armor, potentially inflicting damage even if they're heavily armored.
That's right.
Okay, deep divers, I'm starting to see how all these different elements of combat weave together.
Yeah.
We've got movement positioning,
Right.
different attack types,
Uh-huh.
armor values,
Uh-huh.
and even hacking to disrupt the enemy's defenses.
Exactly.
And we haven't even touched on the character's unique skills and the items they can equip.
Nope.
That's where the real tactical depth of Nanolith shines through.
That's right.
Okay, I'm ready to unlock that next level of strategy.
Good.
Let's talk about skills and items.
Okay.
Each character in Nanolith starts with a set of unique skills,
Uh-huh.
represented by skill cards.
Yeah.
And they can also equip various items from weapons and gadgets to healing supplies,
Uh-huh.
and even quest items that play a role in the campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not just playing with generic characters.
Nope.
We've got these individual heroes with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly.
Okay.
And those skills and items are what allow you to tailor your strategy, to
Right.
adapt to different situations,
Yeah.
and to overcome the challenges you'll face in New Eden.
Okay, let's dive into those skill cards.
Sure.
What kind of abilities are we talking about?
Skill cards represent a wide range of abilities,
Okay.
from boosting your attacks or defenses, to manipulating dice rolls,
Hmm.
to interacting with the environment in unique ways.
Right.
Each skill has a specific activation cost,
Okay.
often requiring certain combinations of dice.
Mm-hmm.
And those costs can really force you to prioritize your actions.
So it's not just about having the right skills. It's about managing those action dice carefully to make sure we can actually use them when we need them.
Precisely.
And what's even cooler is that as you upgrade your character, you can actually lower the activation costs of your skill cards,
Right.
making them more accessible in the heat of battle.
That's right.
So that skill that required 3 5s to activate
Yeah.
might suddenly become much easier to use,
Exactly.
allowing us to unleash our character's full potential.
Exactly.
And some skills even have nanosync options,
Uh-huh.
allowing another player to contribute one of their action dice to boost the effect of your skill.
That's right.
Wait, so we can team up and combine our powers
Yeah.
like a tag team attack in a fighting game.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's a great way to synergize your team's abilities and overcome tough challenges that might otherwise be impossible.
I'm already feeling the tactical possibilities here.
Sure.
But what about items?
Mm-hmm.
How do those fit into the mix?
Item cards can be just as crucial as skills,
Okay.
providing your characters with a variety of tools and resources to overcome challenges.
Uh-huh.
You can equip weapons that deal extra damage or have special effects,
Right.
gadgets that disrupt the enemy or enhance your movement,
Okay.
and even healing items to patch yourselves up after a tough fight.
It's like building our own Cyberpunk arsenal.
Yeah.
Do we start with all these items, or do we find them as we explore the game?
Each character starts with a set of starting items that reflect their role and playstyle.
Okay.
But as you progress through the game, especially in the campaign mode,
Right.
you'll discover new items,
Okay.
often hidden in secret locations, or earned as rewards for completing objectives.
Ooh, a treasure hunt through a cyberpunk dystopia? I mean,
All right?
so we start with a basic loadout,
Yeah.
but we can upgrade and expand our arsenal as we go.
Uh-huh.
That's a great way to add variety and depth to the game.
It is.
And some of those items, especially those tied to the campaign,
Yeah.
can even unlock new areas or reveal hidden story elements,
That's right.
adding a layer of narrative intrigue to the gameplay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, deep divers, we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've explored the core mechanics of combat,
Uh-huh.
the role of action dice in fueling our actions and generating stress,
Mm-hmm.
the delicate balance of the nanoshock mechanic,
Right.
and the importance of skills and items in shaping our character's abilities.
Yeah,
But we've only just scratched the surface of what Nanolith has to offer.
that's right.
The real journey begins when we step into the campaign mode and face off against the forces that threaten Neo-Eden.
That's when it gets real.
And that's where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we explored the foundations of Nanolith,
Uh-huh.
the action dice,
Right.
stress management,
Yeah.
those tempting nanoshock abilities,
Mm-hmm.
and how skills and items give your characters that unique cyberpunk edge.
Yeah?
Now we're stepping into the heart of the campaign mode,
Okay.
a narrative-driven experience that sets Nanolith apart from your typical board game.
Think of it as an unfolding cyberpunk epic, a story that pulls you deeper into the world of Neo-Eden with every encounter.
So it's not just about winning battles.
No.
There's a real story driving the action.
Absolutely. The campaign is driven by two key components.
Okay.
The storybook on the encounter book.
Uh-huh.
The storybook lays out the narrative foundation,
Okay.
the backstory, character motivations, and the overall plot that propels you through the campaign.
So it's like our mission briefing before we head into the field.
Exactly. It sets the stage and guides you toward your objectives.
Okay.
Then you have the encounter book, which is where the action really unfolds.
Right.
It contains the maps for each encounter,
Mhm.
beautifully illustrated environments,
Oh, cool.
and often incorporates additional story elements.
Okay.
Like choose-your-own-adventure style narratives, or even comic book paddles woven into the gameplay.
Okay, so it's like we're literally stepping into a graphic novel, not just playing a game on a board.
That's the idea. The two books work in tandem to create an immersive experience that blends gameplay with storytelling.
I'm hooked already.
Good.
But how does the campaign actually progress? Are we just wandering aimlessly through Neo-Eden, hoping to stumble across the main storyline?
Not at all. The campaign mode has a clear structure,
Okay.
starting in a central hub called the Neo-Eden City map.
Okay.
Think of it as an overlobby connecting all the other locations in the game.
So it's like a map of the city with different points of interest marked on it.
Precisely. From this central hub, you'll use mission tokens to travel to different lobbies and advance the storyline.
Mission tokens, what are those?
You acquire mission tokens as you progress through the campaign,
Okay.
often by completing encounters, solving puzzles, or achieving certain objectives.
Mm-hmm.
They act like keys, unlocking new areas to explore and pushing the narrative forward.
So it's like earning rewards that allow us to delve deeper into the world of Neo-Eden.
Exactly.
Each mission token represents a new chapter in the story.
Exactly. And each mission token will have specific instructions on where it can be placed on the city map,
Okay.
indicating the next location in the story.
So we're not just following a linear path.
Nope.
There's a sense of exploration and discovery as we choose which mission tokens to activate and which areas of the city to explore.
That's a key element of the campaign mode.
Okay.
It's not just about following a predetermined storyline.
Right.
It's about making choices that shape your experience and potentially lead you down different paths.
I love that sense of agency, that feeling that our choices have consequences. But what exactly are we doing in these different lobbies? What kind of challenges await us in the heart of Neo-Eden?
Well, as you'd expect in a cyberpunk dystopia, danger lurks around every corner. Each lobby presents a unique set of challenges,
Huh?
often incorporating thematic elements tied to the location itself.
So if we're exploring a high-security corporate skyscraper,
Yeah.
we might face off against heavily armed security forces and sophisticated AI defenses.
Exactly. Or if you venture into the seedy underbelly of the city, you might encounter street gangs,
Okay.
cybernetically enhanced criminals, and even road AIs that have developed their own agendas.
It's like stepping into a different cyberpunk movie with each new location.
That's a great way to put it, and the variety of enemy types is one of the things that makes Nanolith's combat so engaging.
Speaking of combat, last time we touched on those big bad bosses
Oh, yeah.
that await us in the campaign. They're not just bigger versions of regular enemies, right?
No, they have their own unique mechanics that can really shake things up.
Okay, so we can't just rely on brute force. We need to adapt our strategy as the fight progresses.
Right.
And you mentioned something about a damage index for bosses. What's that all about?
The damage index is a separate track that specifically tracks the boss's health.
Okay.
Instead of placing damage tokens directly on the boss, you'll move a cube along this index as you inflict damage.
So it's like a health bar in a video game.
Yeah.
Visually showing us how close we are to defeating the boss.
Exactly. And here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Some bosses might have specific thresholds marked on their damage index. When you reach those thresholds,
Right.
it could trigger new abilities for the boss,
Oh.
change their attack patterns, or even alter the environment of the encounter.
So it's not just about chipping away at their health.
Nope.
We need to be aware of these potential turning points in the fight and adjust our strategy accordingly.
Precisely. It adds another layer of depth to boss encounters, forcing you to think ahead and anticipate how the battle might evolve.
Okay, this is getting seriously strategic.
It is.
But we're not just battling mindlessly, right? There's a story driving these encounters, a reason why we're facing off against these formidable foes.
Absolutely. The campaign mode isn't just a series of random battles.
Okay.
It's a carefully crafted narrative that unfolds as you explore Neo-Even, uncover secrets, and face the consequences of your choices.
And speaking of uncovering secrets, the rulebook mentions something called hidden cards.
Oh, yeah.
Are those like secret weapons or power-ups that we can find?
Hidden cards are more than just loot.
Okay.
They're often key items that unlock new areas, advance the story, or provide crucial information that helps you piece together the larger conspiracy that's at the heart of the campaign.
Ooh, so they're like puzzle pieces helping us make sense of the world and unravel the mystery.
Exactly, and they're not always easy to find.
Right.
Some might be tucked away in secret compartments.
Okay.
Others might require solving riddles or completing specific objectives to unlock their location.
So it's like a scavenger hunt through a cyberpunk dystopia. I'm already picturing myself hacking into security systems, deciphering cryptic clues, and uncovering hidden caches of valuable information.
And some of those hidden cards are even more special.
Oh!
They're designated as quest items, indicating that they play a specific role in the narrative.
Quest items, so they're not just random objects.
Nope.
They have a purpose in the story.
Precisely. A quest item might be a key card that unlocks a restricted area,
Okay.
a dataship containing vital information, or even an artifact that plays a pivotal role in the events of the campaign.
Okay, so imagine this.
Yeah.
We're exploring a shadowy research facility, and we come across a locked door with a strange symbol on it.
Okay.
We search the surrounding area and find a hidden card that matches the symbol.
Right.
Suddenly, the door unlocks, revealing a secret lab where we discover a quest item, a prototype weapon, with the power to alter the fabric of reality.
That's a perfect example of how hidden cards and quest items can enhance the narrative experience of Nanolith.
Yeah.
They're not just random loot, they're integral parts of the story,
Okay.
often driving the plot forward or opening up new avenues of exploration.
Okay, I'm completely on board with this treasure hunt through a cyberpunk dystopia.
Good.
But how do we know which quest items are truly important?
Um,
Do we have to lug them all around, hoping we don't lose something crucial?
That's where the persistent icon comes in.
The persistent icon, was that?
The persistent icon is a symbol found on certain quest items,
Okay.
indicating that they are crucial for advancing the story and should be kept safe.
So they're not just one-time use objects.
No.
They stay with us throughout the campaign,
Yeah.
potentially unlocking new areas, revealing secrets, or even granting our characters special abilities.
Precisely. A quest item with a persistent icon might be a key to a hidden sanctuary.
Okay.
A communication device that connects you to a mysterious ally.
Right.
Or even an artifact that grants your characters unique bonuses or abilities.
Okay, so we need to treat those persistent items with respect.
Yeah.
Losing one could have serious consequences for our mission.
It could. And that adds another layer of strategy to the game. You need to be mindful not just of your character's health and resources, but also the safety of those crucial quest items.
This campaign mode is shaping up to be an amazing blend of combat exploration, puzzle solving, and narrative intrigue.
It is.
It's like the best elements of our favorite video games and tabletop RPGs all rolled into one.
And we haven't even touched on the nano stories yet.
Oh, right.
These choose-your-own-adventure style narratives allow you to delve deeper into the relationships between the characters and make choices that shape their individual stories.
Wait, so it's not just about the overall campaign plot?
No.
We also get to explore the personal journeys of these characters.
Right.
Their backstories, their motivations, and how their relationships evolve throughout the game.
Exactly. Nano stories add a layer of emotional depth to the campaign.
Okay.
Allowing you to connect with the characters on a more personal level and make choices that impact their individual fates.
I love that. It's like those choose-your-own-adventure books that loved as kids, but with cyberpunk action and strategic dice rolling.
And the choices you make in those nano stories often reward you with nanosync tokens.
Okay.
The special tokens we talked about earlier.
Right.
That allow you to permanently unlock the nanosync options on certain skill cards.
So by engaging with these personal narratives, we can actually strengthen the bonds between our characters and unlock new tactical possibilities on the battlefield.
Exactly. It's a brilliant way to weave narrative and gameplay together, making the choices you make in the story have tangible effects on the way you play the game.
Okay, deep divers, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored the structure of the campaign mode, those captivating lobbies with their unique challenges, the strategic depth of boss encounters, the thrill of uncovering hidden cards and quest items, and the emotional resonance of those choose-your-own-adventure style nano stories.
Right.
But our journey through the world of Nanolith isn't over yet. There's one more crucial element of the campaign mode that we need to explore.
Okay.
The city phase.
All right.
The city phase? What's that all about?
The city phase is where you connect all those individual encounters and lobbies into a cohesive narrative.
Okay.
It's the glue that holds the campaign together, giving you a chance to take stock of your progress, manage your resources, and plan your next move.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this city phase and how it fits into the overall flow of the campaign. Welcome back, deep divers. We've navigated the tactical combat of Nanolith, explored that sprawling city map, and even delved into those choose-your-own-adventure nano stories. Now it's time to connect all those threads and unravel the final layer of the campaign mode, the city phase.
Right. Think of the city phase as your strategic command center, a place to regroup after those intense encounters, manage your hard-earned resources, and plot your next move in the grand cyberpunk chess game that is Nanolith.
So if those lobbies are like the front lines of our mission, the city phase is where we plan our next attack.
Precisely. It takes place on the Neo-Eden City map, that central hub we discussed earlier. Remember, this map acts as a visual representation of your progress through the campaign, with different locations becoming accessible as you acquire mission tokens.
Right, those mission tokens are like keys that unlock new areas and advance the storyline.
Exactly. And the city phase is where you'll use those mission tokens to chart your course through Neo-Eden.
Okay, so let's say we've just completed a grueling encounter in the depths of a corporate data center. We've acquired a new mission token, and we're back in the city phase. What happens next?
First step, take stock of your resources. You'll discard any quest cards that don't have that crucial persistent icon.
Right, those persistent items are the ones that stay with us throughout the campaign, potentially unlocking new areas or play a key role in the story.
Exactly. Any other quest cards, those that have served their purpose in a specific encounter or location, are discarded during this phase, streamlining your inventory and preventing it from becoming too cluttered.
Okay, so it's like cleaning out our cyberpunk backpack, making sure we're only carrying the essentials.
And you also return any regular item cards to the item deck, essentially resetting your inventory for the next encounter.
So we're not hoarding weapons and gadgets across multiple missions. It's a fresh start each time we head out into the city.
That's right. You'll start each new encounter with your core loadout and any persistent items you've acquired, creating a sense of balance and ensuring that you're not becoming too overpowered.
I like that. It keeps the challenge level consistent and forces us to adapt our strategies to each new situation. But discarding all those hard-earned items feels a bit wasteful. Is there any benefit to being a minimalist?
Absolutely. If you discard a certain number of item cards during the city phase, you're rewarded with a bonus nanofragment.
Ah, those precious nanofragments that allow us to upgrade our character skills and unlock new abilities. There's a tactical advantage to managing our inventory efficiently.
Precisely. It encourages you to think carefully about which items are truly essential for your mission, and to make tough choices about what to keep and what to discard.
Okay, so we've cleared out our inventory, earned a bonus nanofragment for our minimalism, and now we're ready to plan our next move. What happens next in the city phase?
The most exciting part, choosing your next mission.
Right, we've got those mission tokens we've earned through our exploits in the city, and now we get to decide where to go next, which area of Neo Eden to explore.
Exactly. You'll look at the city map, consider the available mission tokens, and make a strategic decision about which path to take. Some mission tokens might lead to main story lobbies, those crucial locations that advance the central plot of the campaign.
So if we're eager to unravel the core mystery of Nanolith, we'd prioritize those main story mission tokens.
Exactly. But other mission tokens might open up side quests, offering opportunities to explore different facets of the game world, acquire unique rewards, or even delve deeper into the backstories of your characters.
So we could choose to focus on the main storyline, or we could take a detour and explore a side quest that piques our interest.
Precisely. And those choices can have a ripple effect throughout the campaign. Completing certain side quests might unlock new allies, reveal hidden information, or even change the outcome of later events in the main storyline.
This city phase adds a whole new dimension to the game. It's not just a pause between missions. It's a strategic layer that allows us to shape our own narrative experience.
Exactly. It's a brilliant way to integrate storytelling and gameplay, giving you a sense of agency and control over the unfolding events of the campaign.
Okay, deep divers, we've reached the end of our Nanolith expedition. We've unpacked the core mechanics of the game, explored the strategic nuances of the campaign mode, and even touched on those personal journeys embedded in the choose-your-own-adventure Nano stories.
There's always more to discover.
Right, and that's the beauty of Nanolith. It's a game that rewards exploration, experimentation, and a willingness to dive deep into its rich cyberpunk world.
So to all you deep divers out there, we encourage you to take the plunge, grab your dice, gather your team, and prepare to face the challenges of Neo Eden. The fate of the city may depend on it.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of Nanolith. Until next time, keep those action dice rolling, manage that stress level, and remember, in the neon-lit streets of Neo Eden, every choice matters.
Neon lights flicker in Neo Eden's haze. Four souls awaken in a memory maze. Two books unfold, a story dark and deep, where forgotten moments the characters keep. Encounter map spread, comics tell the tale of a fading world where destinies fail. Five dice are rolling, a tactical fight, aggro and power in shadows of night. Nano machine surge with a dangerous gleam, pushing the limits of its overfilled dread. Nanolith, etched in our code, a power unleashed on a dangerous road. Nanolith, where choices collide in Neo Eden's depths, where futures reside. Where futures reside. Oh. Scenario outcomes and items we find lead to the storybook where truths unwind. Each decision matters, a narrative thread. A novel unfolds where heroes are led. Nanoshock awakens, a power so grand, but each surge brings us closer to the sand. Five dice are rolling, a tactical fight, aggro and power in shadows of night. You know machines surge with a dangerous gleam, pushing the limits of a cyber dread. Nanolith, etched in our code, a power unleashed on a dangerous road. Nanolith, where choices collide in Neo Eden's depths, where futures reside. Beyond the generic, a world we explore, where storytelling weaves on every game floor. Our choices define the fate of this place, a cyberpunk adventure with a perilous pace. Nanolith, etched in our code, a power unleashed on a dangerous road. monolith awaits in shadow so deep. Our destinies call.